It's time for To the Max Sports, where we talk about sports. They're just two guys, Max and Drew, in a bar talking all things sports. Well, without the bar. And the beer. Wait, why aren't we in the bar?
Hello, and welcome to the Max Sports. You all know what time it is. It's time for... That was not a cold one. That was Bob cracking open a Diet Coke.
But it is cold, so it's a cold one.
That's true.
Cold enough.
You interrupted my intro. It's time for...
I'm sorry you were so easily distracted.
Time for...
To the Max Sports.
Well, we got Carlos over here to my right, your left. He's our NFL insider. Been a while. I think we brought you back. Last time we saw you was when we were doing the draft combines, weren't we?
Yeah, well, we did a couple of games in between and stuff like that. So,
Could coincidence that Mel Kiper dropped his mock draft 1.0 and Carlos joined us?
Possibly. I'm sure he's a lot better than Mel Kiper, though.
I don't know.
You'll probably have way more hits than he ever does.
I don't know.
That's right around the corner.
It's coming up, man.
Yeah, and all the speculation. What is Chicago going to do with Justin Fields?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's one of two ways you can go about it. Obviously, there's going to be positives and negatives to both sides, but ultimately, I think they got to go start fresh, go get Caleb Williams. You know what I mean?
Almost a blow-up rebuild.
Yeah, not necessarily, because they have a lot of good pieces in place already. So at this point, you know, how many more chances can you take without taking a quarterback, you know, and keep missing and stuff like that?
Well,
so
unless they do a full up rebuild on their front office, Caleb Williams will be destroyed in Chicago.
As long as the Jets front office is around, the Bears won't have the worst front office in football.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can make fun of the Jets all you want, but if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go down with Achilles in week 1, they had some success with. I don't know, some guy under center. Well,
if my aunt had testicles, she would have been my uncle.
Oh, I mean, maybe your aunt did identify as your uncle.
So, you never know. Hi, Uncle Steve.
Well, it's Davina.
Uncle Stephanie now. Aunt Stephanie. Where were we? Where just, you got me all messed up here. Oh, yeah, NFL.
How was that weekend?
So over the course of the 2 weeks of football playoffs, we're 5-5.
Yeah.
I have hit my locks of the week. Last week, my lock was Baltimore -9. You said it was too much. If you follow me, guys, I may not hit all the games. I will win you some money on my locks of the week.
I felt pretty good about that pick at halftime. That game was tied at halftime, and I don't know. I mean, Lamar Jackson goes in and apparently gives a profanity-laden halftime motivational speech, and they come out like gangbusters. I don't think it was a profanity-laden speech that got him, but they adjusted really, really well. And I don't know what the Texans stopped doing and got flummoxed, but, yeah, the Texans were boat raced in the second half.
Well, I just think being at home really helped the Ravens. Of course, Lamar Odom, been there, done that. I love Stroud, man. The guy has impressed me. Better than I thought he'd be, although we know now why Stroud went to the combines and Bryce Young didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so...
for all you Carolina Panthers fans out there, sorry.
Yeah, tough break.
Tough. But my motto is I don't like rookies on the road. I don't care if they're phenomenal rookies having a phenomenal year. And, you know, they had a great year. Hats off to the Texans. Their future looks bright.
Absolutely.
Yep. And
real bright. Brighter than the Cowboys.
DeMeco Ryan, definitely coach of the year. DeMeco Ryan, coach of the year.
I wouldn't have a problem with that because you got the rookie of the year. Although that kid, that Puka, I love saying the name.
Puka Nacua?
Nakua.
Yeah, and, you know,
it's got to be Stroud, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of great options.
Stroud for rookie of the year?
Yeah, Stroud's rookie of the year. I mean,
what, 25-5 on...
I mean,
the only argument you could make is Puka practically broke every wide receiver rookie record with receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns, you know.
And
him being a 5th-round pick has got to make it, like, kind of a big surprise.
Yeah,
too.
but my counter to that is C.J. Stroud was in the MVP conversation at points this season, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
Especially the way that
Yeah. And I
Jalen
think even
Hurts
too, if he
collapsed.
doesn't miss those 2 games because of the concussion, I think it's a lock. You know, I think the reason why we have the conversation now is because of the 2 missed games.
We can say Lamar's locked up the MVP, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the night game on Saturday, my Niners hosting the Green Bay Packers. Man, the Packers outplayed the 49ers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But your sphincter probably got a little tight around the fourth quarter of that game.
Yeah, I was trying to distract myself with other things. I didn't breathe until probably 15 minutes after the game was over.
But before we get to that, I realized that your 49ers were going to be safe because of the NFL conspiracy.
Oh, my God.
Enter logo.
Oh, my God.
And tell me this isn't weird. Tell me this isn't weird, man. So look at the colors. This is before the Super Bowls.
But I mean, this is
Orange and yellow, Bengals, Rams.
No, this is no
green and red, Eagles, Chiefs.
No, this is no different than a psychic sitting across from me at her fucking tarot table going, I see that you're having relationship problems. Everyone's having relationship problems. Is that really Bengals colors and LA Rams colors, or is that just red and gold?
So for those of you that are following us on YouTube, we got the picture up when the Bengals and Rams played each other. The NFL Super Bowl logo colors were red and yellow. When Philadelphia played the Chiefs last year, the colors were green and red.
How do those colors correspond in the logo to the Eagles and the Chiefs?
I see red and I see green.
The green is just a little off.
Maybe a little.
No, I mean, there's a reason why you were in the Army. You wouldn't have been allowed in the Navy being this colorblind.
Colorblind? Well, this year, what colors do you see? And I'm not colorblind. I see purple.
I see purple
and I see
maybe red. Maybe red.
I see San Francisco versus Baltimore.
Oh, my God.
Well, there's also that second...
And there was at least...
The second theory to that conspiracy is that purple and blue make red, so Ravens, Lions. But I mean, that's a whole other thing. Yeah.
Now, my only conspiracy.
I don't care.
My only conspiracy before that. Anything else there, Bob?
Hold on.
Let me quick with the trigger.
I think I have one more.
Super genius.
Which you are not.
The other conspiracy I had before that was because Taylor Swift thing that the Chiefs would be in the Super Bowl, but that's going to be next year. Because they're going to let Taylor Swift host the Super Bowl halftime. Yeah. So that'll be next year.
There's no way that Taylor Swift is ever going to host the Super Bowl. She's never going to do the halftime show.
Oh, I'll bet you big money next year.
Yeah, and do you know why?
She's got a big following.
Because there's no money in it. There's nothing in it for her. Nothing.
Big money, the most watched game around the world.
Do you know how
sponsorships?
Do you know how much entertainers get paid for doing the halftime show? Zero.
You know why they get paid zero? Because 250 million people are watching them worldwide.
Anyway,
next year, Taylor Swift and the Chiefs will be in the next year.
And actually, the better thing, did you see Jason Kelce?
Oh, yeah.
I like that guy.
My thing is, like, if any of us, regular, where he just took his shirt off, started drinking a bunch of beers, jumped out of the sweet box, drank someone's beer, and then jumped right back into it, like if nothing happened.
Well,
I like that.
Apparently, when he jumped out of the box, someone looked at the video and watched Jason's wife in the back row in the luxury box, and she was saying, "Get your ass back in here, Jason."
Yeah.
And he came back into the box.
At least he's not his brother, doing commercials, getting paid by Pfizer to tell people to get jabbed with COVID.
Yeah, but, and do you know what Jason Kelce was drinking?
Bud Light.
Oh,
he got paid for that. They've done the turnaround here. Have you seen the Peyton Manning commercial?
In there,
Peyton and Emmett, the whole Bud Light thing.
Though I'm going to ask you this. If Dylan Mulvaney, I think that is her name, coached your Bengals and you had a guaranteed Super Bowl win if she was head coaching your Bengals.
Come on, girl.
There you go.
Yep.
That's
Come
it.
on, girl.
That's it. You're a prostitute. I'm just
We're all
saying.
selling out.
That's my Bengals.
So anyway, okay, so yeah, so that, I mean that's the. I mean, let's jump to the Kansas City Buffalo game.
Let's do it. Let's hear your analysis. What you think on that one?
Yeah, just a tough day for Josh Allen. I mean, how many more years are you going to be able to do this for? He's kind of giving shades of like, Phillip Rivers, you know what I mean? Just all these years of being super competitive, just could never beat the Tom Brady, the Joe Burrow.
Phillip Rivers, Dan Marino, Dan Fouts.
Those are the things that I think about for like his own like legacy. As far as, the way the team played, he did everything he possibly could.
Yeah, he did not lose them that game at all. At all. He was not the reason. And I'm sorry, the two worst words, if you ever go to Buffalo, do not walk up to somebody and say these two words, wide right.
Wide right.
Yeah.
Brought back horrible memories of Scott Norwood, didn't it? And you could just see the fans just like
deflated.
Kind of like how I felt when Joe Montana beat us in the second Super Bowl and Weiss is saying, he's on the sideline saying it's going to happen again.
No, I didn't feel that way in that. I didn't feel that way in that Super Bowl.
Didn't.
No, I didn't. So yeah, so that was actually, what do you guys think of the rule, which actually destroyed Kansas City? I mean, Kansas City, and it didn't destroy him because they won the game, but Kansas City had the opportunity to put that game away. He fumbles that through the end zone and the ball turns over. You guys like that rule?
I'm ambivalent. I mean, it does. What, do you like it, or does it matter to you?
I wish there was something that was not so. It's so punitive.
It's like it's a big game changer too. You know what I mean? You go from possibly taking the lead or coming back in a game to just almost throwing it away essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
so I mean, I don't know. I heard somebody say something and I thought about this. Why not 30 yards back from the original line of scrimmage and lost it down. So now you're second and goal from the 31.
Yeah.
Back to the Bills. Do they retool around Allen, or what's it going to take? You got to stay with him. I mean,
yeah, you're definitely not moving off from Josh Allen, but I think there's got to be some big moves that need to be made for the Buffalo Bills to kind of get over the hump.
I don't know. I don't think it's that. I think it's
between the years.
They need to excise the demons. I mean, they need to do what they did in the movie Major League to like get rid of the curse. It's like they're cursed. They're almost the Cubs of the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, just remember like how Kansas City got Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes, I'm sorry, the Chiefs traded up to the spot where the Bills were originally picking. They moved back and, Kansas City got Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, the Bills got a bunch of great players in that trade, but it's kind of haunted them ever since, really,
And Patrick Mahomes, 6 straight AFC Conference Championship games.
So, guys, stick around for our picks. I got our lock of the week. We're going to have our picks, but going back to the Mahomes, is he going to supplant the GOAT as the GOAT?
He has the potential, but remember, he's only 28. And let's look at the arc of Brady's career. Brady wasn't as successful leading up to 28 as Mahomes has been successful leading up to 28. Brady's greatness really comes on as he gets into his 30s and extends his career. That's where Brady became the GOAT. Because for me, Brady wasn't the GOAT until he went to Tampa Bay and won that 7th Super Bowl. Before that, I could make a legitimate argument that Joe Montana was the greatest quarterback to have ever played the game. But after that,
and no, Bob, I'm glad you kind of brought that up. And if you think about it towards, a certain part of Tom Brady's career, we all talked about, he had a bunch of guys that, weren't big time athletes. He had to, get them to play to a higher level that they weren't used to. And we kind of see that with Patrick Mahomes and some of these guys who just aren't getting it done. And so what did the Patriots do? They go out and get guys like Randy Moss, Wes Welker. Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably what's going to happen for Kansas City. I think they're just going to be like, okay, well, let's just retool everything and then let's go right back to it. Because, I mean, that's just kind of what happened with Tom Brady in his career in that point. So I kind of feel like Patrick Mahomes is kind of getting to that, and he knows that the level he has to maintain, and I know that he has enough say in the organization to get stuff like that.
Well, it's very Brady-esque because they do retool with these new receivers that they've had a lot of issues with this season as far as catching the ball. Mm-hmm. They trade Tyreek to the Dolphins, and lo and behold, they go through that little lull there where they went through that little 3-game losing streak, but now they're right back in it, just like that.
Pause for a second. Did you scan your thing in for your parking?
No.
Scan the QR code and do your parking while we're talking.
So,
folks, we have very belligerent towing companies here in San Antonio. If you ever have the opportunity to visit the Alamo and you park, pay for your parking, because by the time you visit the Alamo and come back, your car will be gone.
Yeah, they'd literally sit out here and wait for a car that has not been scanned.
As much as this city lives on its tourism, that's kind of not the friendly skies.
So, Mahomes definitely, he's impressive, man. And they just keep retooling people around him, and he keeps getting the job done.
And Andy Reid, man. Andy Reid.
You remember the knock on Reid? I was thinking about this. A couple years ago, the knock on Reid was he couldn't win a Super Bowl. He was just that guy. And now, look, is he going to be the next GOAT to supplant Belichick?
No. As much as I really don't like Belichick all that much, and I don't know where he ends up right now, it's looking like possibly Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I actually thought last week I came up with an idea that would not have worked with what Belichick wants, which is to beat Shula's record.
Yeah.
For the Cowboys, Belichick as general manager, Mike Vrabel as head coach, and then wipe the rest of the organization clean. Because
love that.
I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to
take notes right now.
Say it again. Cowboys fans, you're not getting a Super Bowl because Jerry Jones doesn't value a Super Bowl. And he said it in his words last week when he praised Mike McCarthy for 3 straight 12-win seasons. I'm sorry. You measure success by championships, and you don't want championships.
Yeah.
However, Cowboys, number 1 valued sports franchise in the world, $9+ billion. So, is Jerry Jones doing it?
Three 12-win seasons without the Super Bowl is like being the tallest little person at the county fair, man.
And the crazy thing is, if they win a Super Bowl, I don't think the value of the organization goes up. Yeah. Anyway.
Do you think, I got my doubts about Belichick being a fit in Atlanta. To me, it's New England light. You've got the same issues with the quarterback situation.
He'll replace the quarterback.
You do have a little bit more talent to work with as far as receivers. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, the 3-headed triumvirate of running backs, which is really good. The defense is probably comparable to New England's, but it seems to me he's just inheriting New England light.
Yeah, I just think there's going to be kind of like, they have a little bit more cap space to work with, as far as those things. They have players that are what we like to call the generational talents. I'm not necessarily sold on a lot of these guys, just because, some of these guys have already been in the NFL for a couple of years. So I just don't know. But what I do believe is Bill Belichick can take some of these really good players and make them elite. We've seen him do it like over and over and over again with other players. And I just felt like Atlanta just never had that coaching to begin with. So I think if you add a Bill Belichick pretty much anywhere, you're guaranteed to have some type of success, whether it's player development or success in wins and stuff like that.
Unless you're with the New England for the last 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean...
But if I was Belichick, just to hold this thought, the only job I would have taken would have been the San Diego job, because you got to ride with the quarterbacks, and he rode with Brady, and he's got his street cred now. He could have rode with Herbert.
Yeah, but for Belichick, what have we been saying against Belichick? Is Belichick without Brady? And the last couple of years without Brady, it kind of shows that maybe Belichick wasn't Belichick without Brady. I think he almost needs to go to an organization where he builds the quarterback up from the ground level so he doesn't have this knock on him. This is all about legacy and reputation at this point for him. I mean, what else is he chasing?
He has no quarterbacks to work with there.
They'll draft one in.
Yeah.
They'll draft one in.
Well, that's easier said than done.
So, I mean, we'll see. Okay, back to the playoffs.
All right.
So we want to talk about the Lions and the Buccaneers and just like quickly dispatch the Buccaneers hit their expiration date, and that was it.
Pretty much. I mean, Bulls, I said at the beginning of the year would be fighting for his job if he didn't have a successful run. He was gone. Yep. That looked very real mid-season. They turned it around with Baker Mayfield. Every NFL coach is going to ride with the success of their quarterback.
Yep.
Baker saved Bull's job.
Yeah, Baker earned $1 million bonus for the getting to the playoffs and $250,000 for beating the Eagles. So yeah, and then it was done.
So good for him.
The one thing that I love, there's a part of me that wishes the 49ers weren't in this race right now, because I want to root for the Lions. I want to root for Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I'm a Campbell fan.
I'm going to go through a wall for Dan Campbell. Have you guys been watching the replay of his press conference from 3 years ago?
Oh man, it's literally all over the place. I absolutely love it.
And what's crazy is when we watched it originally, we're all like, okay, caricature. Yeah, this guy's playing us for fools.
Yep.
That's who this guy is.
Yeah, a lot of people were out here just like kind of making fun of him for the comments of, biting kneecaps and stuff like that, kind of outlandish, but
that's who he is.
Yeah, he really is. And I think that's what Detroit needed.
It's a really good story, but their book this year is on the road. They're not as good as they are at home.
Yeah. So, they did beat KC the first game of the season, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Is that a road game?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was.
Yeah, they were in Kansas
City. Yeah, I think. Well, give us you want to move on to the games now?
Well, no. I mean, we still have to talk about the greatest comeback by a Mr. Irrelevant in the history of the NFL playoffs.
What, he comes back from 7 points down?
Well, yeah.
They still haven't come back from 8 points down. So
okay. It's the first time that Shanahan's come back in the fourth quarter.
Plus, they were in the Super Bowl colors. So
man, that I have to say this: the 49ers did not, the way they played, they did not deserve to win that game. I'm sorry, Packers fans, you should have won that game, and you had your opportunities to close the game out, and you didn't. And our defense shut your asses down.
But that's what happens when the youngest team in the NFL is playing a team with that much talent and veteran leadership.
Yeah.
I gotta give props to Green Bay. I was kind of been hating on Jordan Love all season.
No, he's the real deal.
I thought he was a little overrated, but
he's
the kid stepped up in that running back.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, shout out to UTEP.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Yep, that's the thing that has me worried for this week going forward is the 49ers seem to be a little bit weak in the box.
Against covering that run. Yeah.
So, though I will say this too, if you're a Green Bay Packers fans, what you should be pissed off about is that the NFL is still measuring down in distance using technology from the frickin' 1920s. Yeah. And as much as I like that call on fourth down, which you didn't make, it should have been measured better. There should be technology in the ball to tell us where that ball is in space so that we know when the whistle is blown exactly where that ball was. We shouldn't be doing this chain crap anymore.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get it right. The 49ers have kind of been doing a Cowboy impersonation, playing down to the level of competition.
Yeah, but we did what the Cowboys didn't, which was we stayed in that game and we beat them at the end, whereas we didn't get beat the shit out of us the whole damn game.
This is why you guys invited me, just to kind of shit on me here for a little bit.
Oh, you're a Cowboys fan?
Yeah. It's all good, But the thing is, you guys are right. They don't play up to the level that they should.
What I didn't understand, we didn't see you last week, so I didn't have a chance to say this, but what I didn't understand was it seemed like Green Bay did the right thing and took the coin toss and took the ball and went down in their script. Great. I mean, I think every team in the NFL should have a script that allows them to score on the opening drive. It's putting on their best face. It's like us dating the prom queen.
You got to set the tone.
But why did it seem like on the next drive, the Cowboys were playing off their back foot? Like they were already reeling, like they were behind by more than 7.
No, ideally, I would have thought the Cowboys, if they win the coin toss, they take the ball and they just say, hey, Green Bay, we're going to lock the doors. You guys are not leaving. You guys are in our house. Take that momentum, start it off. Because I knew that the Cowboys would be susceptible to the run. They have very small linebackers. That's where the Cowboys have lost every single game in the playoffs.
Well, at the end of the day, we don't want to lose our viewership talking about a sorry Cowboy team that lost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, they ruined my childhood and they're ruining my actual adult life at this point.
Yeah, and I've said this and I'm going to say this and we're going to move on to this week's games.
Yep. Stick around for my locks.
The NFL is a better place when the Cowboys are in actual playoff conversations. The NFL is in a better place.
Of course.
So that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so this week's game.
This week's games, what you all have been waiting for.
We have
Stick around for my
Kansas
lock.
City going on the road to possibly destroy Lamar Jackson's dreams. By the way, Lamar Jackson still losing record in the playoffs, 2-3 now. Baltimore's favored by 3.5 at home, and the weather actually looks to be pretty okay for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, give me Baltimore. I think they're 7-point favorites, or they're 3.5.
No, Baltimore's 3.5-point favorites at home.
I think they win by possibly a touchdown or more. Essentially, just the way their defense is played. I don't think Kansas City has seen a defense like this. They've been kind of going against the Bills, who have a lot of injuries, especially in the secondary linebackers. The Dolphins, who played, with 4 new linebackers. If you've watched that Hard Knocks, you know that they just picked up dudes off the couch, essentially. Yeah. And then even towards the end of the season, too, they just haven't played well. And, if they can find a way to just, get Travis Kelce out of the way, which, I think they will be able to. Mike McDonald, really good defensive coordinator. What he's done with this defense that, maybe we had some question about beginning of the season. Roquan Smith has been an absolute animal on the field.
Is Andrews coming back this weekend?
I don't think he's going to, I think they're going to try to go with it, but I don't think he plays as much. It just depends on the situation. I think.
Okay, so you're taking Baltimore and laying.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah, I like Baltimore for a lot of the reasons you said. Hopefully the Ravens will dial up a Lou Anarumo style Cincinnati defense that contained Mahomes a couple years ago, where they took away the big play. Bird dog Kelce, don't let him get hot.
Yeah.
If you're going to get beat, let these other young wide receivers who've had trouble catching the ball this year, let them make the mistakes. Because one thing I have noticed about KC this year, if you do rattle them, they're starting to see a lot of chirping on the sideline, a lot of dissension. Have you noticed that this year?
Yeah, if they're not playing well, they start to you see them crack a little bit under the pressure of it.
And I'm gonna go back to the key to the game in this one is Lamar. Lamar, if he overextends the plays in a positive manner, look out. If he overextends it and does something stupid and throws a touchdown or tries to overextend the play and fumbles, then we got problems. I think the defense of the Ravens will overwhelm the offense of the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a good defense, but I don't think they have enough to stop the weapons. Look for Zay Flowers to. So
you're taking Baltimore and laying the points.
Going to take the long version.
Okay.
Taking Baltimore, laying the points.
So I think what happens if Baltimore is to win, they got to go all kickboxer and go kidnap Taylor Swift. And go give a little whisper in Travis Kelce's ear, going, "We got your girlfriend."
Yeah,
that's next year.
I'm taking Kansas City. I'm going to roll with Mahomes. I'm going to roll with Andy Reid. Yes, they don't have the players. They don't have the personnel. Baltimore is a better team, top to bottom on their roster. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Kansas City wins when it matters.
So you get the Swift conspiracy.
No, I got Kansas City wins when it matters.
Well, I've kind of got the Harbaugh conspiracy. You know how that storyline's going to go. Brother wins the college championship. Brother's up for Super Bowl.
Yep.
They'll be running that story ad nauseum.
Nope. They're only going to run it. Today is what? Tuesday? They're only going to run it for like 5 more days. When Kansas City beats the Ravens, it's all over. So Kansas City.
Brother Bob, ever the contrarian. He's got KC. Me and Carlos are going to take Baltimore.
Okay, the late game. Lions, the Cinderella story, coming back. The Cubs of the NFL, going on the road, going outside the confines of their dome. 7-point dogs to the 49ers.
What's the weather supposed to be like?
Right now, 69 and sunny.
In San Fran?
69 and sunny. It's not raining. Yay! Because we hate wet balls.
I was out in California for 15 years. I never saw 69 and sunny in San Francisco.
What did Mark Twain say? The coldest winter day I ever spent was a summer day in San Francisco.
Well, apparently not this Sunday.
Nope.
Carlos, thoughts?
Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You kind of have like this emotional story with the Lions kind of building up. Everybody kind of seems to be rooting for them. And then you have the 49ers who've almost kind of become like the villain of the NFL. They're just a bigger, stronger team. You know, they've been here before for the last couple of years.
Sorry, we're so good.
Yeah, you know, so I'm taking the 49ers. I believe the spread is what, 3.5 points? Seven points. I think Lions have a chance to cover, but I'm taking the 49ers. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think they're going to try to avenge the loss last year that they had to Philadelphia. And I think the two best teams will face it out in the Super Bowl. Ravens, 49ers. We'll get a rematch of, I believe it was week 12 when they played each other.
And we'll get another rematch of the Super Bowl, the lights going out in New Orleans. Super Bowl.
Yeah, even more, you know, hardball theory in there. But, yeah, it's just kind of the Lions. I feel like they're a hot team. You know, they could be like the Cincinnati Bengals a couple of years ago where they kind of just surprised everybody and got in. I think they have a winning formula to beating the 49ers. They have great running backs. They have a great offensive line.
That's the only thing that scares me.
Jared Goff is really playing out of his mind. And, you know, he's also got his own little great redemption story. You know, he's lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and then that's why they got rid of him and stuff like that. So,
yeah, he beat Stafford. The redemption story is done. We don't need any more of it.
Yeah, I think his own redemption story is still continuing, but I'm taking the 49ers ultimately. They've been there. They've done that. They have better players on offense and defense. And I think Detroit, you know, although they've drafted pretty well the last 3 years, they still need a couple more pieces, and they need those guys to kind of grow just a little bit here. And I think this is going to be a great spot for them.
In a horrible case of deja vu, mid-first quarter, Hutchinson breaks loose, hits Purdy. Purdy's concussed. And in a tragic turn of events, Detroit wins.
See, here's the wonderful thing about the 49ers. I don't, other than the fact that Darnold hasn't had reps, I don't mind Darnold running that offense. My biggest worry isn't Purdy getting concussed. My biggest worry is Debo and what they've schemed this week without Debo, worrying about, is he going to play? Right now they're saying 50-50 on that shoulder, the same shoulder that he had a hairline fracture on. Yeah. So I'm worried about that. If Debo plays, this is a boat race. This is a boat race, and I'm going to take the over.
Well, yeah.
So, what I'm thinking on this game in all seriousness is it's really tough, but the game to me is going to come down, not to the quarterbacks this time. It's going to come back to the running backs, McCaffrey versus Gibbs.
Yeah.
Oh,
who has the bigger game?
McCaffrey. I mean, who
has the bigger game?
Let me ask a better question.
And who's
the better quarterback?
David Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery.
Yeah. Who's the better running back? Out of that trio, who's the best running back?
Ooh. Whoa. That's a good question.
No,
I mean, I think without a doubt,
McCaffrey's he's a better bubble screen. He's more dual option.
He's more well-rounded in every aspect of running backs compared to some of the other guys.
I'll tell you what,
and with that offensive line,
the 49ers have been suspect against the run, and you got a veteran in Montgomery, you got Jahmyr Gibbs. Don't get too cocky there.
I'm going to get cocky. I mean, I'm going to get cocky. McCaffrey is the better running back out of that trio. He's more explosive. He can put major yards down very, very fast, and he runs very, very effectively.
Who's the better quarterback?
Whoa.
Goff.
In a vacuum, Jared Goff is a better quarterback. Yeah. Who is the better quarterback in their offensive system? Purdy.
I don't know if I totally agree with that.
I do, because
to me they're very similar with similar style offenses and weapons.
Yeah. No.
Now I think San Francisco's got a better defense.
Who's Detroit's tight end?
Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
Who's 49ers tight end?
George Kittle.
Give me Kittle.
Well, I think that's
watching Lions too much.
You know what? They both went to Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, they're both cut from the same cloth. Sam Laporta, you know, kind of makes more plays just because the 49ers have more talented players.
George Kittle runs moonshine in the off season. That's who George Kittle is.
I think it's going to be a hell of a game, but you know what? It's 7 points. I'm tempted to take Detroit outright, but I think I'm going to say give me Detroit to cover. And Purdy has one of those Purdy turnovers that shouldn't have had. If it comes down to quarterback play, I'll take Goff.
I was a little worried last week. It was a lot wet. Apparently, Purdy doesn't like wet balls.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Can we talk about that real quick?
About wet balls?
Well, we can talk about that after the show. Why, if you're the 49ers staff, you can't have your team more prepared with shoes? Did you see how they were?
Yeah, that
when you're at home, someone's getting fired. Someone's getting talking to.
Yeah, that was weird.
But go ahead, Bob.
So anyway, I think Purdy comes back. I think Shannon's going to work with Purdy this week. It's going to be clear. It's going to be dry.
Yeah.
It's going to be at home. And even with the wet and being off target on a lot of those, and yes, Savage should have had a pick six. It's inexcusable you dropped that ball and didn't get a pick six. Sorry, dude. Go home. Yeah. Purdy is one of the most accurate passers in the game. And some of the balls he threw, even when he was uncomfortable, were things of absolute beauty, even in that game against the Packers. And he's going to do it again. And he's got all the weapons. No. Purdy in that offense versus Goff in his offense, give me Purdy. In a vacuum, if I'm building a team from the ground up, I'll take Goff. I
will say that the 49ers, they've kind of been don't break on the rushing defense. They allowed Aaron Jones to go over 100 they haven't allowed a 100-yard receiver in some 20-some-odd games. If Gibbs or Montgomery goes for 100, Detroit could win this game.
No, and I think it's going to be
anybody who dominates in the run game can win the game.
And the 49ers defense was a bend, don't break. I said it during the game to myself. It's a bend, don't break. The Packers had 3 red zone opportunities and came away with 6 points.
Yep.
So no, I'm taking the 49ers.
Okay, well
because I have to.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to add 2 kickers to my picks this week.
Okay.
I'm actually going to change this. I thought about this earlier. I'm going to take the over in both of these games. I think the Chiefs-Ravens is going to be a little bit of a shootout. I do. I actually do. And the over-under on that game is only 44.5, 49 and clear.
Yeah.
I actually like the over in both of those games, honestly.
And then the over-under for the Frisco game is 50.5.
Well, when we come back next week, we'll have a lot of things settled. We will know who's going to the Super Bowl. Until then, any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, should be fun. If you guys are looking for more content, I also have a small podcast that I run.
Mention your pod, man.
Yeah, so as we go into the off season, there's a lot of stuff that happens with free agency, coach signings, and the draft. So I'll be covering a lot of that stuff. So hopefully I'll be on here. And if you haven't checked out my podcast, it's the Go for Two podcast. You can find it pretty much anywhere.
Cool.
Check it out. He's our draft guru. He'll definitely be back to talk about the teams they've drafted, and he's a lot better than Mel Kiper, trust me.
Appreciate that.
All right, guys. Until next week, OH.
Go Niners.
IO.